It's entertainment. People listen to it because they like it and they enjoy it.
That's an interesting.
But then, like, you talk about educational content, that can be anything from business and entrepreneur educational stuff all the way to some of what we're doing right now about content education. Like, it's a niche, but it's educational, like a very specific
area
topic
within
education. And then, inform, that could go back to like even that business piece of like, you're talking to a specific audience about a specific service you may provide. And all you're discussing is that service, getting more people informed about what you do and how to get locked in to get it done for them, right?
Exactly.
That's like information based.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Like, figure out what it is you want to talk about. And sometimes that could just be like, what are you passionate about? What do you have information that you could share with people about? What do people like to hear you talk about?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
It's so many like forms to figure that out, but before like anybody can help you with anything, you gotta figure out what you want to do. Like what's gonna take you to distance. Like, If you don't,
Yeah, we in we got DM Braxton in we got DM Braxton in we got DM Braxton in the classroom.
Cameras, microphones, action. You need all that to start a podcast. Wrong. You really only need your phone and, a decent pair of earphones. And you can start a podcast. But if you want to take that podcast into the visual realm, you'll need a camera. But you can still use your phone. You really only need a tripod. But we'll go into all that in today's episode. D, what's up?
What's up? How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good.
So break us down.
You know what? Welcome to the Content Classroom. Today we're talking all about starting a podcast. Where do you start if you don't have all of the equipment and before you even have to pull out equipment?
Yeah.
What do you start with, right? So Braxton, you do a lot of work with podcasters and launching podcasts, shooting and putting podcasts out, distributing, all of that stuff. So one, like, do you enjoy that? Yeah. What do you enjoy most about you? Because you work with a lot of different types of podcasters,
I do.
too. What do you enjoy most?
On the actual side, not technical side, on the actual side, being able to absorb the information that's being displayed in so many different areas and seeing how people think and understanding maybe why they ask questions or what they're talking about or what's important to people. I do enjoy that because I'm learning and enjoying actual humankind. So, without people, it's everything's pointless.
Hey, that's real.
That's an enjoyable part. On the technical side, I like looks and I like to switch up lighting displays and give different visuals that not only in my local area, but in other digital space around the whole world that I may not have seen or some I took inspiration from.
Yeah, that's dope.
So I enjoy that on the technical side for sure.
Yeah.
You have you got a podcast room here.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration in building it? And you can actually, especially for solo podcasters, there's multiple sets in that one room.
Yeah. So the inspiration behind it was like, we had a room.
I
was like, this is a small room.
What we're gonna do with it?
I mean, somebody could record a podcast in here. All you need is a mic.
True.
A good mic, and to record and something interesting to talk about. That's on you. But we'll
talk about that today.
Yeah, we could provide a good space for it to happen, right? So that was the inspiration just behind having a podcast room, right? The look and feel of it, that's all like the other 2D Filmworks, my husband. Dimitri, he's like the mastermind behind what it looks like and what it feels like in there. I just wanted it to be cool. Like, I want something cool that people might like. And like, as you said, like the way that it's set up, you can use multiple, especially for a solo podcaster. you can use multiple spaces if you're doing like adding the visual component. So you don't have to just sit in one space and it all looks the same. You could be on one wall that looks one way, one area of the wall that looks another way, or just how you position it, right?
Yeah.
How you position yourself in the camera. It can be, you can do multiple episodes or just have your look on one of those walls in that room. Anyway, that was the inspiration. It wasn't nothing deep. We just had a room, and I figured like we could leverage this for podcast recording, voiceover recording, stuff like that. But you know that was kind of the, and I love podcasts. I listen to so many podcasts, like it's ridiculous. I be looking for new podcasts to listen to all the time.
It seems like not even a growing industry, but like YouTube as a whole is where you can just go find your podcast. Like listening to them is great. But now everything's so visual.
Yes.
And it's like, how do you repurpose an audio form of your podcast? You can't really. I mean,
unless you transcribe it into a blog. But who's doing?
It's like that's a limited form. Like, everything you can do with the audio side, you can do with the video side.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And be more engaging on that side as well.
Yeah, some of my favorite podcasts are like video podcasts where like I'm subscribed to the YouTube channel. I might also be subscribed to their podcast channel like on Apple Podcasts, but that's just to show support, you know, just to be down with the audience, and you know what I'm saying? But where I will go and listen like to my favorite ones that I come back to every single week, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now there are some that I listen to in my car when I just want something to listen to, but I'm not as like, I'm honestly just not as locked in. It's just like something, this is what it is. If I have like a thought and I'm like, I want to know more about that, I'll try to find a podcast on it and just listen to what the host is talking about, because they might have some valuable information I could use. But that may not mean I'm subscribed to their show. I just found it and it was okay for that episode. But then ones that I'm locked into got that visual component. But that's just my preference. But that leads us to exactly, you're in deep thought right now.
I am.
What you?
I am thinking.
This is going to be ideas, inspire information, because I see something formulating.
You know how blogs turn into vlogs? Can we coin the term vidcast?
Vidcast.
From podcast to vidcast.
Vidcast.
Because
that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. It's still being casted.
That's
but now it's a video.
Yeah.
You're not just hearing it.
Yeah, a video podcast.
Yeah.
Vidcast.
We need to start something. We might have to cut this part out. Because this could be that could start a whole business structure.
I was literally about to say.
And it could be a platform for vidcast.
I can see it.
Vidcast. Do you need somewhere to post your video podcast? Vidcast is the place for you. Join today.
No, that would be a dope business.
Hey, y'all don't take that. We already trademarked it. It's registered. It's done. It's on the closed market.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I like that. I don't even that was good. Vidcast. Well, I was about to jump into, you know, when you're starting a podcast, what would you be telling people to think through? Like, and I know last episode we talked about repurposing content.
Yeah.
But like to repurpose, you have to have a purpose to begin with,
That's
right?
good, coach.
And so let's start there. Like with a podcast, what are some things you think about before you pull out any equipment?
First thing we want to do is use our mind. The mind is a terrible thing to not use. So with that being said, figure out what you're going to talk about, what you're going to convey. Like you said, there has to be a purpose. So what is the purpose? Is there a purpose to entertain? Is it to inform? Is it to educate? What is the purpose of your show? Because without that, you're not going to have a long-term distribution history or catalog. You just talk about a few things and you be done. And then you don't create a reference point for people to come to. You're not going to be an expert in any industry. you're just going to be a person making something.
Talking.
Because everybody knows that person that's always trying something and making something, but never. It's not even a jack of all trades.
I just thought about like 3 people in my head.
Yeah, it's like, all right, what you just switched up everything you put
every 3 months. You switching it up and ain't stayed with the first one. Yeah,
you have no form of consistency.
That's it. So, that's a whole other.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting with what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what's the purpose?
So is that like what you make that? So when you say what do you want to talk about, I know a lot of people dive straight in. They go straight for the niche. Like, what's your niche? Is that what you mean? Or is there room to not be so niche down, but maybe like if I'm here to entertain, maybe I just share entertaining story. Like, what do you think about that?
I think that's a niche as well. I think everything ends up niche because you gotta find somewhere to go deeper into your content.
Yeah.
So, like, you can start more broad, but start in an area and just kind of see how it works, see how it flows, see how comfortable you are with it. It's a lot of experimentation that you have to go into, unless you're in a business and you're going to start your show based on that business or
which is
a niche,
a smart strategy, and a good niche because your business has a target audience
exactly and
already locked in.
You just build around that already. But if you don't, you just start with something. Start with feels natural. Start with what you do often.
That's really good. Because even when I think about entertainment, there are different types of entertaining podcasts. Like true crime is considered entertainment now. Yeah. When you look at it, like true crime podcast is like a form of entertaining podcast. Because like, of course, you're talking about events that happen, but they're not current events. So it's not news. And, what are you going to do with that information? I'm not going to use it. It's entertainment. People listen to it because they like it and they enjoy it.
That's an interesting.
But then, like, you talk about educational content. That can be anything from business and entrepreneur educational stuff all the way to some of what we're doing right now about content education. Like, it's a niche, but it's educational, like a very specific area topic within education. And then inform, that could go back to like even that business piece of like you're talking to a specific audience about a specific service you may provide, and all you're discussing is that service, getting more people informed about what you do and how to get locked in to get it done for them, right?
Exactly.
That's like information based. No, I love that. Like, figure out what it is you want to talk about, and sometimes that could just be like, what are you passionate about? What do you have information that you could share with people about? What do people like to hear you talk about? That's a good one. That's a really good one.
It's so many like forms to figure that out, but before like anybody can help you with anything, you gotta figure out what you want to do. Like what's gonna take you to distance. Like, if you don't, it has to be a thing. Like, we can sit here and talk about why we're using this brand of mic over 10 other brands for an hour. And
why a cardioid mic and not like
super cardio.
Exactly.
Or directional. So like, are you gonna be the person that talks about microphones and breaks down why to use different microphones?
Which is a whole thing.
A new microphone comes out, why it's good or bad versus such and such.
Like there are whole YouTube channels that just do that.
Exactly. And so you know where to go to. It's like, oh, I need a new mic, or I need a mic for such and such. That's their purpose. They know why they're making their channel, why they know who's going to come and when they're going to come. And so it's very specific and niche in that structure of saying, hey, this is the thing, this is how deep I'm going to go, and this is why I'm doing it, because I love doing it.
So second question for you, because I automatically think of like, if I know what I'm going to talk about, the next thing I need to know is my audience. Because I could talk about microphones, but a microphone, I'm not going to use microphones. I could talk about microphones and all that stuff, but I could be targeting it to a specific audience, to like a podcaster, or I could be targeting it to, I'm trying to think.
It's a broad range.
It's a broad range of who your audience is.
Singers, speakers, audio technicians.
Exactly.
You can just start. Everybody,
filmmakers.
There's so many places that microphones are. And in such industry, you might not have time to think about which microphone I need to get. I'm looking at a wall full of different types of microphones and brands and different pickup patterns. And so it's like, hey, this is where I need to go to find such information.
Yeah.
But there's somebody making information on that.
Yeah.
So are you going to talk about it and explain to people why they should use this microphone or why they shouldn't in such situation?
Yeah.
Like right now we're using podcast style microphones
Exactly.
instead of shotgun mics.
Precisely.
So,
but if we were talking about a documentary,
we use shotgun mics
or
and
some other
overhead,
exactly,
boom pole, yeah,
boom.
We're making a
totally
mic podcast
different.
right now.
Totally different. It's still in the microphone industry,
yeah,
but totally different audience, right?
Exactly.
So how do you propose that people think about like their audience? Like, what do you, when someone is saying like they want to start a podcast and they want to be talking about X, Y, and Z, what is the next step to going from this is what we talk about and this is who we're talking to? Do you help people kind of define that, or do you like, how do you deal with that?
So from what we're talking about into who we're talking to,
yeah.
One is going to be back to that root word, consistency. You got to keep talking about it over and over again. You have to solidify yourself in the place for people to gain trust in you. If they don't see you doing it, they can't trust that you tell them how or what they should or could do in the thing. So like, if you say, "Hey, I got a studio and we move sets around, but 6 months from now the sets are in the same place."
Exactly.
And nothing's changed. Nothing's updated. Nothing's anything from what it was. I can't trust that I can come here in another 6 months.
Right.
It's gonna be
different. Right.
Because it's the same as it was.
Nothing's different.
If you don't set up for holidays for people to come do photo shoots for, they're not gonna keep coming. So be about the thing that you're talking about, but stay true to it. Because if you're pivoting or rebranding, you can do that. But now you have to completely be in that place.
Yeah, and I think even like using that example, what's very, what I'm very adamant about with like going to the audience piece, like, like people have to trust that what I'm talking about is going to happen. But even like who I'm talking to. So like for us, we talk to photographers a whole lot. We starting to talk to podcasters a little more. We talk to photographers a lot in our content. And so even that whole like, you can move stuff around. Well, we need to be showing photographers move stuff around, you know, and not just in our content, but when people book. Like if it's the first time here, like if one of us are here, we let them know, you can move all of that. Like whatever you need, move it. And if you want to leave it there, you don't have to reset it. Just leave it, right? But that's very key to us when choosing that audience. We specifically chose like photographers. We want photographers to use the space. So we need to be talking to photographers about how to move stuff around, where it can go. You be open, like use your creativity. What do you think looks good with your client, you know? So that's huge with just like even that example. But we were also very, very strategic to say like being consistent in talking about moving it around and showing people to move stuff around, just the whole topic in general.
That's important.
Yeah, it's so important. And also consistently talking to that audience. That's a big piece that I think sometimes we overlook it because it can be a thing where if you're too general, then, you know, if you're talking to everybody, nobody's going to listen.
Exactly.
But when you call out a certain group of people, a certain type of person, then their ears are going to perk up because, oh, you mean me?
Yeah.
So that's huge, even with a podcast.
You immediately know when somebody is in your ballpark of information.
Exactly.
Like, because you convict yourself. You're like, oh, like even if you try to not do that, you already did.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, they're talking to me because I know these are things that I need to do or these are things that I need to work on.
Yeah, this is information I need to make my thing better or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we got know what we want to talk about, the purpose, and then consistently doing it. Being about what we're talking about. And then also building knowing trust. Who we're talking to. Yeah, building trust with our audience. Knowing who we're talking to and then building that trust consistently. What else do we need to be thinking about with starting a podcast?
You need to think about...
And again, guys, this is before you even pull out equipment. and have your episodes lined out.
You first gotta think the thing out and know what you're gonna do. Like basically build a business plan for it.
That's good.
So
Dang.
you have you got so many tools now to develop stuff. Build a business plan. Go in, build your profile in your AI machine and say, hey, look, this is who I am. This is what I want to talk about. Generate me 10 podcast topics based on this within this area. Like the more information you're able to deliver, an AI machine, we can go deeper into that another time, but into something that can help you, you're going to get better results out of it.
Yeah.
And then you take that information, you tweak it, you build it to the way that you want it to be, in order to reach the people you want to reach, in order to help the people, in order to everything we do is for people.
Absolutely.
Let's get that out of the way. A lot of people want to do things for themselves, but what you're doing for yourself isn't going to help anyone. And if you think about it, everything about you is based on what you gathered from people. You just has tweaked it to your personal standards and stuff that you want. If you never saw a studio before, you're going to be the first one to decide, hey, I'm going to make this place that people can come to and take pictures called a studio.
Right.
Yeah, it's like there are things, but you made it your own. You know, hey, I've been to different type studios. This is what I think I want to do with one of my own.
Yeah.
So just like we talk about the psych wall, it's like, it's not many of those in the area. You decided you want to have one. You could have put 2 more sets over here.
Yeah,
but
it was the thought.
You put a niche, but this is a niche thing.
Right,
so
exactly.
People are going to come to it because there aren't many of it anywhere else.
Yeah, and not easily accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or actually affordably accessible.
Affordably accessible is what I meant by easily.
Exactly.
Being honest. But yeah.
So.
No, that's really good. I love that everything is for somebody.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing, even when it comes to creating content. Like, if you just in it for you, so you can feel good, you're gonna eventually not feel good doing it. Because you're gonna hit a creative block, which you're gonna talk about. You're gonna probably hit some burnout at some point. You're gonna get tired. But if it's beyond you and bigger than you, and you help, if there's somebody on the other end of that thing that you know is getting helped. Either you're making them laugh every week, and you getting somebody through their work shift that they don't want to be at that desk, but they gonna turn on your YouTube in the background while they typing in that data. Because I used to do that in my job. Like them podcasts got me through tough work days. You know what I mean? Like thinking about the other person or the people on the other side of your content, and what they might be getting from it. I think that even will fuel you to keep going, and it'll fuel you to keep going. But it'll also inform you on what they might need most. Yeah. Because you may think that you need to be talking about mics. But really, those same mic people also need some information about, lighting, which you also know about. Yeah. And so then you could do a whole series just about that. What we're doing right now, this whole series is because so many people have questions about creating content. Yeah. They want to do it. They want to get into it. It's just where do I start?
Exactly.
And here we are talking about it. But it's because there's somebody else on the other side of these cameras, on the other side of your microphone, that is connected to it, that's listening to it, that's tuning in. And like you said, it's always for someone.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. It takes the selfishness out of it, because people are quick to jump in just out of
I said that before.
Self-grandiose.
Selflessness over selfishness.
Yeah. No, that's huge. That's huge. I think that's a major thing to be thinking about. Who am I helping and in what way?
Yeah.
Because even if, let's take, all the marketing jargon out of it, target audience. Okay, forget about that.
Who am I talking to?
Who am I talking to? And am I helping them? Yeah. How? You know?
And am I just sitting here rambling on? People know when the information that you're delivering is not good.
Yeah, it's not good and it's not
trash.
helpful.
It's if stuff starts to make too much nonsense, you gotta start thinking, hey, does this make sense or does it not make sense?
Too much nonsense.
And if you keep talking about stuff that doesn't make sense, why am I still listening to you? Mm-hmm. You're filling my brain with things that aren't gonna excel me. And who really wants to go backwards?
Exactly. I'm not able to use any of this information. And yeah. You're absolutely right.
All right, cool. Bye.
Exactly. Now I love that you said too. I'm gonna go back. Like a business plan.
Yeah.
So we have like, and I'm just running through it. We have like what we want to talk about, how we're going to build trust. You know, who we want to be talking to. Next thing we want to be thinking about is like, well, how you gonna get it out there? How you gonna market it? Yeah, you're gonna make the podcast, right? But you also need to get people to watch the podcast, which that is a form of marketing. That is marketing.
Are you going to say something so profound to somebody? And that's important. You have to say things profound to someone for them to take it from the short form to the long form. So, like, if you're creating a show and you don't know your purpose, you're not going to say anything deep enough for people to say, hey, let me watch all of this.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
you got to hook people.
Exactly. It's very important to hook people because if they're not hooked, they're not going to watch anything. You can get in there and talk about nothing, but if you get a hook, you'll get a view.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you get a hook, you'll get a view. That's it right there. That might be a hook.
Hey, clip that up.
Yeah.
Clip that up.
No, that's very true. And that goes back to like the marketing piece and getting it out there. Like that is part of a business.
Yeah.
So in your podcast, don't just think about shooting your episodes and that be it, posting it. Like we just go back and watch us talk about repurposing. Like how are you going to repurpose that to get more eyes?
It's great on platforms. You can tell people here's the link.
Literally.
Stick the link for that. What video did we just say?
Yes.
Does it go
repurposing your maximizing your content.
Right there.
Right there.
Okay.
Go watch it.
That.
And then come back. But
actually watch it after.
Well, yeah, there you go. But there is that level of like, how do you get people there? How do you let people know you have a podcast? Because if you're just recording and then just putting it out into the ethers, like you're gonna have one listen and there was somebody that stumbled across it on accident. I can guarantee.
It wasn't even him. It was your friend.
It was.
Hey y'all.
It was your friend.
I made a show
because you posted about it on Facebook once. Yeah. And then put a link and only 5 people clicked it.
Yeah, your loyal friends.
Loyal friends.
Watch you make a video.
Your auntie.
And they proud of you. But I think, and this is what scares people in creating things to start off with.
Let's go into that. What scares people
is the doubts, the fears of what if it doesn't, what if I can't, or what will go wrong. But nothing can go right if you don't do anything.
What if nobody clicks? What if nobody's interested?
As a matter of fact, they're not going to click to start off with because no one knows you.
No one knows.
Trusts you.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you get through that and say and understand what I'm doing, the purpose of it is bigger than me, it's easy to do the rest of the stuff.
It is. And also, the good thing is, like, in the beginning, that many people probably won't.
God created.
That many people may not click, but guess what? Now you know what it feels like to not have people click. Yeah. So there's only up from here.
Exactly.
Like, all right, now what do we need to do to make people click, right?
Yeah, and then watch your own stuff back.
Yeah.
Watch your stuff on the platform, and then watch stuff that you often watch. Learn from what they're doing right, and learn how you can implement those things in your own way.
Yes.
I
love that.
As simple as flow of the episode. As simple as
that's a big one.
Detailed knowledge of the information.
That's where we're going next.
As simple as quality of work. Just like there are details in every process.
Yes.
How are you going to take what's working somewhere else, implement it into yours? Yeah.
You just hit on something that was next. I'm thinking about it from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Business platform. So we got marketing, operations. How does your show flow? Have you thought about a structure of the show? For example, if you look at these episodes, it always starts with Braxton saying something profound to that camera. Every time. And then what do? I jump in and I open the episode. Yeah. I welcome you. I tell you what we're talking about.
You just put like a precedent on
I'm literally telling you how to structure your show right now. And then we jump into the topic. Yeah. We ask questions, we dialogue, all the things. That's our structure, right? That's how our show operates. So that, and it's just like a business. Like you have your operations, how you do what you do. So be thinking about, to your point, your process, your flow, the flow of your show, and how you're gonna implement the way that other people are doing it. Other people in your niche, other people in your industry, other successful podcasts that may have even a similar be in a similar niche. So like entertainment, find entertaining podcasts that entertain you. And if you want to create an entertainment podcast, then study how they structure their shows, right?
Be entertaining first.
Let's start there. Be interesting and entertaining. But if you have also an educational podcast, look at the ones that you listen to and you like and find what works and implement it in yours. That was great. I'm so glad you went there because that was next on the docket. What else? What are we missing?
Your mind's a terrible thing not use. So use your mind. If you cover all your mind bases, actually before you ever hit record, figure out where you want to put your show.
Where you want to put it.
What platforms do I want to like? As far as podcasting platforms, for sure, because there are a ton of them.
There's a lot. Yeah, a lot of hosting platforms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Video wise, I mean, YouTube is never the wrong place to go.
Oh, no.
But as far as hosting for your audio form of your podcast, do research within the industry before you decide you want to do something. Because a lot of people decide they want to do something, realize it's way more than they
thought.
Yeah, and
it's way more than just showing up and like talking to somebody.
It's like, oh, I got to do that, and then it's like, oh, they're overwhelmed.
Yeah,
you're unprepared. So
literally,
preparation, that's a big thing.
Preparation, yeah.
Preparing for every episode. The only time you might not need preparation is if that's just the thing you do. Like just reach into your brain bank and go to work.
I think we're probably testaments to that.
Yeah, I didn't bring anything today.
We just be showing up, but
let's go to work.
But we show up every time.
Yeah. Hey,
consistently,
and that's an important part too.
Show up.
That's probably more on the production process.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to show up. You got to show up mentally and physically. I could be here right now and just be like, you can do these things. That might work, but you're not gonna trust me based off that because there's no confidence in my information. I don't seem like I know what I'm talking about. So, next show.
Yeah. And then I love that you said choose your platform and show up.
Yeah.
And then next, once you show up and you're consistently showing up, next we're thinking about how you're going to grow that platform, how you're going to grow the podcast, not just in audience, not just in viewership, which is important. That goes back to that marketing, but also how do you grow your show in a way that maybe you're able to pull in some sponsorships, and it doesn't have to be these huge brand deals. Sponsorships can be local small businesses that want to use the audience that you have locally to promote their stuff. Sponsorships can be you promoting your own business.
Yeah.
Sponsorships can be, you created a digital product or you created something else that now people can buy because they've been listening to your show for free, right? You got X amount of people listening to you, give good information. Maybe you can provide them a product or a service now that you can make some money off of it, right?
Exactly.
So that's just like long-term growth plan. And I think that is, if you don't think about anything else, you should think about those things we just outlined.
Yeah. A lot of times that's good. I feel like I'm always saying a lot of times, but that's really good. On a simple basis of, do you know what the end goal of this is?
That's
Are
good.
you working with the end in mind? Because if you say, hey, I want to be a full-time podcaster, well, there are things you got to do. We talked about business plan. You have to have a business structure.
You have to think about it like a business and not just a show.
Exactly. And those things have to be in place saying, hey, am I going to go get an LLC for this?
Yep.
Am I going to start a bank account? Am I going to reach out to sponsors? How do I communicate with sponsors? How do I negotiate deals with sponsors?
That's business.
Yes.
They ain't got nothing to do with showing up and shooting.
And then is my information deep enough for sponsors to say, hey, we want to sponsor this show, give them money to promote us on their platform? Like, are you moving numbers? It's a lot of intricate details that going on.
It is.
Yeah.
And this is just base level introductory information.
Yeah.
We ain't even getting in deep on none of that.
Yeah, we're not even talking about hooking up a setup to give you a look or a location or cameras and it's a ton of things that goes into any production. You got to realize that you're going into a production field.
Yeah.
And if the base level of you as a consumer, your production level is not going to be high, it's going to be low.
And that's the thing, like if you come into it as a consumer only, you're not going to think about any of the things we just listed, and your production value is probably not going to be where it should be for a podcast that could attract sponsorships.
Exactly.
And not even just production value, but the quality of your content, the quality of the information, and all the things that you're providing to your audience.
Yeah.
But if you come into it thinking of it like a business, thinking of it like a full-fledged production that you're putting on, and production doesn't mean you have to be in a studio.
Yeah.
You know, but it's quality.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking about. Something that people will sit and watch.
Yes.
Then that's when you can start thinking more effectively toward reaching a certain goal, having that purpose in mind, and then growing it.
People have built their entire careers off of using their cell phone. So there should not be any excuse, on the production side, because you can do it.
You can do it.
You just have to say, hey, do I have the pieces in place to build what it is that I'm trying to build? Do I have the right tools to construct this empire of whatever I'm doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we dismiss, this is homework for anybody looking to start a podcast.
Get your homework out.
First of all, if you haven't subscribed and liked, do that.
You might want to do that.
And then second of all, get out a piece of paper and just begin to think about some of the things we just talked through. You don't have to have it all figured out. Yeah, your little notebook.
I'm like the old little teacher.
Get your composition notebooks out.
You don't have to have all the answers.
What's your number 2 pencil?
But, you know, if you got some of the answers, write down the answers you got.
Yeah.
Because that's enough to get started.
And cheating is very good when it comes to doing work.
Google it.
Yeah.
Ask,
Get your cheat sheet
the
out.
Google machine. Ask AI.
Hey. It's like
Ask him. He'll tell you.
AI's been here, and it's been Google.
Literally.
Now just use the AI.
Yeah. Ask it to draft up.
What's it called, Bard?
Yeah. Bard.
Or just ChatGPT.
Or ChatGPT.
Yeah. When in doubt, GPT.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think those nuggets will help you start your podcast today. Download a platform. And we'll go deeper into platforms, distribution places,
tools and equipment.
Yes, it's so many things
setup,
you can go into.
Production.
Yeah. Wait, look, we'll do that another time. Another time.
Well, class is dismissed. I hope y'all do y'all's homework.